What's up, everybody? Well, I got into the gameplay video for you guys today, and today we're gonna check out Monster Hunter Wilds on the secondary computer here. Well, as soon as it gets done transferring, that is. Somehow I completely forgot to download it on this computer somehow. Usually it's the freaking Firebat that just doesn't get downloaded because it's just sitting, you know, in its little spot that I put it. But in any case, it shouldn't take long. It is 130 gigs basically with that high texture pack I got. So definitely a little longer than the normal game. The normal game is like 60 something gigs or 70 gigs itself too. So definitely pretty large game when you do all that. But anyway, as soon as that's done, we'll hop in, have a look at the settings, and I'll probably just copy what I did on the Alienware. So start off with like ray tracing, everything maxed out, native, all that good shit, and then just go from there. So to the game.
All right, here's what we're gonna do first. I did forget to turn it to 21:9, but I fixed that immediately upon getting into the game. But we will try some regular 1440p after we're done with this too, because not everybody does ultra-wide. In fact, ultra-wide is a very niche thing to do on the PC still, as cool as it is. So we'll do 1440p as well when we're done with this, just for those who don't have, you know, an ultra-wide. Anyway though, why don't we go hop on in and let's go ahead and get started, because I think that's more than good enough for the settings screen. Well, here we are in the game. We're completely maxed out, native. Can't quite hit. Still can't hit 60 in time with ray tracing and everything on with like the epic, no, what was it? The high texture pack, not the epic texture pack. But yeah, we have the high texture pack on, and yeah, that seems to be one of the things that just kills FPS on almost everything. Unless you have like a top-of-the-line computer with a 4090 or 4080. I believe even at 1440p without the ultra-wide, it still, I think, drops under 60. We'll see though. Maybe I'm getting it confused with something else. Because I did do a bunch of 1440p on the Alienware and the G15 Advantage, so. But at least this one's probably doing about the best job, I would say. Well, at least until we get to the main PC. I'd say the main PC probably does the best job at this. That's just because I think this game cares most about high single-core score. I don't think it cares that much about Vcache or any of that stuff. It seems to just care about high single-core. And the reason I say that is because the friggin' 4090 PC, main PC, does the best. But then again, the 4090 is still more powerful than the 7800X XTX, but we're also doing 4K, which is still way harder to run than ultra-wide. And then ultra-wide's quite a bit harder to run than just 1440p, and so on and so forth. But still, there's probably people that would be okay with this FPS. I don't think too many people with a system like this would be, but different strokes for different blokes or something like that is how the saying goes, I believe. Anyway, though, let's spin the camera around a little bit. Yeah, definitely dropping down to the 50s even. So, let us move on. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and do just 1440p ultra-wide. But this time, we're not doing native. We're going to turn on a little quality FSR3. And then here's the rest of the settings. Still completely maxed out. Other than that, we still have ray tracing on as well. Anyway, let's go hop in. And here we are, back into the game. Still down to 52, 48, yeah, so still in the 40s. And the frame times are still quite atrocious in town anyway. They don't seem that bad once we get out of here though. But we can still do better. I would say the best way to play is probably on high. Because I can't remember if I could get the high texture pack settings to work good. I really wanted to use them, but I think I could only really use them on the main PC. But we shall see. Yeah, that's crazy. This thing really pushes the CPUs quite a bit. Like, even out here in this field, we're getting up into the 50%. I don't know what it was in town. I'd have to look again next time we're in there, but I swear it was in the 60s or 70s for percentage of use. But I think the game is supposed to be able to use up to 12 threads, so I guess that shouldn't be too surprising that it can use, you know, all these threads. Anyway, let's move on. Alright, here's this screen again. We usually keep everything the same here. At least until we get to the regular spot of regular 1440, then we'll change it to 16:9, but we're also trying frame gen out this time, because we actually were getting pretty decent FPS. It did drop under 60 here and there, but a lot of the times it was well above 60, so we can at least give it a shot for the people who are curious. Alright, here we are, frame gen. And yeah, 70% CPU usage in town. So yeah, I wasn't crazy. I was seeing 75 to 80% usage. I don't know if it ever actually hit 80% usage in here, but it definitely hit in the 70s. It did on other computers. But yeah, this game is a CPU-intensive game for sure. Although, let's be honest, almost every single open-world game I've ever seen is, so I guess I shouldn't be too surprised. It's just a lot of the other ones do a lot better job than this one. But at least there's a way to get almost any system so long as it's just straight up not powerful enough for it to run properly. We just gotta make sacrifices. Yeah, it definitely doesn't feel too bad. There's a little input lag from the frame gen, but it's not the end of the world. I've played many games that have far more input lag feel than this. Alrighty, and with that, it's time to move on. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and turn off ray tracing and just max the game out. Again, we'll start with native and go on from there. So basically everything's the same as it was, just minus the ray tracing now. But this is one of those games where ray tracing takes a little bit of FPS, but not as much as usual. But let's go see what I mean. Game time. So here we are in town to start with. And see what I mean? It still drops to the same like 40 FPS here. I mean, this isn't a really good spot to test the ray tracing versus non-ray tracing, but it's the same spot we tested, and at least we go past some water. That's about the most reflective thing I can think of in the game, where ray tracing is probably gonna hit the hardest, so we'll see what kind of FPS we get as we go past there this time. If I remember correctly, it's only like 5 or 6 FPS or something like that versus like 20. Or sometimes even 25, shit like that. It can be really intensive sometimes. Yeah, it really didn't seem that different from when we were with ray tracing native, I don't think. I'd have to go back and put them side by side, but it doesn't seem to be like a night and day difference. I mean, obviously the reflections look a lot better with the ray tracing on, but the water still looks pretty good. You just don't get any ray trace reflections now. All right, time to move on. All right, here we go. Now we're gonna go ahead and turn some FSR on to quality. Although, when ray tracing on, that didn't really help that awful much, at least in town. There's certain spots we got an uptick in FPS, sure. But there's certain spots where we really needed it where it didn't really help, which makes me still think CPU bottleneck, even with a badass CPU like this. But I'd say it's more like a CPU game engine bottleneck, but anyway. Back in the game we are. But see, same, the 40, 30 FPS when we spin the camera around and over here. Not the end of the world, obviously, but most people with a system like that don't really like frame drops like that. Or at least I don't. I can only speak for myself, but I feel like there's still quite a few people out there that would not accept that kind of stuff. And they would sit there and be like, alright, time to mess with the settings more. And if they couldn't get it to work with decent settings, they'd get a refund and be like, nope, this is not the game for me right now. But there's a lot of people playing this game right now. I think last I looked there was like 1,064,000 or something like that. It's crazy. Even with all these problems, people are still having fun with it. And that's cool. Now, if they could fix the problems, I feel like there'd be even more players. But at least there's a way, like I've said in a couple videos here, there's a way to get it to work on almost anything, so long as your stuff's powerful enough. I mean, even the Ally was able to play decently for what it is. Like, you could make do with it. It wasn't the greatest experience, but you could at least play. Versus the Steam Deck, which was like horrible FPS, dropping down into like the single digits here and there, and then just randomly crashing for no reason at all. Well, not no reason at all. I probably just think it's too weak to play it, and it goes, okay, nope. You're lucky I started this at all, but I'm done. I've had enough. Whereas the Ally never crashed a single time. Heck, the things that crashed the most was the Steam Deck and my main computer. And then there was no rhyme or reason to it, because on the main computer I did the exact same settings basically I started with, and then it didn't crash for like 20 minutes, it felt like. So weird. Of course, we were getting good enough FPS to try frame gen too, so of course we're going to try frame gen without the ray tracing, because a lot of people, especially on AMD, do not give a crap about ray tracing, so. But at least for the ones that do, there's probably a way for you to get it playable enough with it on, at least with a system like this. But anyway, let's go hop on in. Here we go with some frame gen gameplay now. And it still almost drops under 60 fake frames here. Though I will say it does feel a lot better in here with that on. Like, frame gen definitely gives me a way bigger boost on this thing than it does on the G15 Advantage. Feels like one of those things that's just like, well, A, the GPU and everything in this thing is more powerful anyway, but just feels like one of those things where the better gen GPUs just utilize that particular thing better. I could be wrong on that, but it just seems like not just the newness of the thing and the more powerfulness of the thing is all that matters. I think the architecture just is better suited to it. But again, I'm not a developer or anything like that, so that's just something that looks like what's happening. But there could be some other reason it looks like that's happening. That's why I never speak in absolutes. Now, if I studied all that stuff and started understanding game development and all that, then I'd be more willing to make that kind of claim. But I don't really see the need to do that. I'm a gamer. I like playing the games, not making the games. Yeah, definitely doesn't seem too bad with this on. There seems to be a thing with AMD. As soon as you turn frame gen on, like, even though I know it's fake frames, we're not really getting 140 FPS right now, but it definitely does feel like it actually does something in this game. And at least with the controller, the input latency is not that bad. Keyboard and mouse, on the other hand, it feels pretty atrocious. So if you're going to use keyboard and mouse in this game, I would not recommend turning frame gen on. That's just me. Maybe it won't affect you as bad as it does me, but that's just what I think. And I never speak in absolutes. I just tell you what I think and let you guys make your own informed decisions. Alrighty, that's pretty much that. So we can go ahead and move right along. Alright, now I would say it's about time to drop it down to high real quick just to see what it does. I probably wouldn't run it quite like this, but who knows, maybe I will decide to run it like this at the end of the day. Because you guys know me, I always think I can do a lot better with my own settings, but we'll see. I'll definitely have my settings at the end. But anyway, let's get into the game. Here are the balanced high settings here. It just comes with balanced FSR, so I usually don't like, if I have to use FSR, I really don't like dropping it below quality if I can help it, but sometimes I gotta use balanced. At least it doesn't look as bad as it could or it does in other games. But it'd be really, really cool if the 7000 series could use FSR4, but I'm almost positive it can't. I think it needs special cores. Like, I think this thing has AI cores, but it's not the right kind of AI cores. Like, these ones are too weak or something from what I was reading. But who knows, maybe I read what I was reading wrong and misinterpreted it, so we'll see what happens. But I'm not gonna hold my breath. At the same time, the 9070 doesn't really seem like a big upgrade. It seems to be like a side grade. Yes, I'd get better ray tracing and upscaling, but I don't know, I really like my 7900 XTX. So I think I'm just gonna keep that thing the way it is for now. Just like I didn't bother upgrading it to a 9800X3D. It's a great CPU, but I'm gonna have that in my main PC, and I really didn't want to have multiple things with the same exact CPU. Thought that'd be kind of boring. Yeah, it actually runs really good. At least out here. In the city, it can still be slightly wonky, but still the best it's done. There are some really, really cool looking animals in this game, and that's just from this one little spot I saw. There's probably so many more. Anyway, though, it's time to move on. All right. So now we're going to turn frame gen on with the high preset here, just to see what it'll be like. And I think after that, I'll go ahead and try my settings out. Although if they're similar to just some default settings we've already done with the screen, we'll just jump right to the camcorder gameplay, and I'll just tell you what my settings are going to be. But in any case, do the game. Well, now here's high with frame gen. And yeah, even in town, it feels pretty damn good. I know we're not really getting this much FPS, but it definitely makes it not feel terrible in town now. So, if you guys don't care about frame gen and the slight artifacts here and there it might create, then I'd give it a shot. Unfortunately, I tried using frame gen on the NVIDIA stuff, and almost all of them had some weird artifacts or what have you, so I didn't really test that out as much. Like on the main PC, it decided, hey, I'm just gonna like lag ass during your recording. And I was like, okay, well that makes it just look bad, but when you're not recording, it didn't do that. Now the TV PC let me do it, but then it was having humongous graphical anomalies to the point where I was like, okay, apparently this thing does not like frame gen. Let's stop doing that. Because I know my GPU is not like overclocked. It's completely stable, or it would be crashing like all the time. I've played way higher graphically intensive games than this and definitely had no issues. Oh, hello. That was definitely terrifying. But luckily, he doesn't fuck with me until I fuck with him, so... Alright, here's the settings I'd go with on this thing. As much as I would love to play it natively, this game seems to just on almost everything require some form of upscaling. Sometimes you even need frame gen, but I didn't really think that was necessary. That can just be icing on the cake if you guys choose to turn it on. I don't really use that too often, unless it's absolutely necessary. Which I really didn't think was the case here. So now, here we go. Settings I would use. And even in town, we seem to stay above 60 now. I don't know if you would in every conceivable place in the entire Monster Hunter Wilds world here, but at least here, what I can see. And that's all I can ever speak for, so I always warn you guys. What I test here does not dictate the entirety of the game. This is still pretty much in the beginning of the game, really. In fact, a lot of this, I swear right up here where I jump through and whatnot is like part of the benchmark. In fact. And if it's not, it sure looks just like it. Whoops. I fucked that up, but well. But yeah, even with FSR in this game doesn't look that awful terrible. It's not the best thing ever. DLSS definitely clears it, but I've seen way worse implementations of it, so I can deal with it to get like actual playable FPS. If this was my only system, as all. That's how I do these settings. I'm pretending this is my only computer. This is all I got. What would I go with? I wonder when my new chair will chip. I'm very, very tired of this one. Its creaks and whatnot. But I'm still not getting rid of it. I'm just going to demote it to the secondary computer because I still love my Batman chair. All right, so here's what we're going to do now. We're going to do 1440p, but now we're 16 by 9. So it's basically like we're playing at 1440p. And we're just going to start over again. Ray tracing and the whole shebang bang. Just native at first. So, to the game. All right, here we are. And it looks like it still has issues staying at constant 60. Yeah, still down. Not as bad as before, but still not great. But I would still consider this pretty playable. Because it's above 60 more than it's under. Compared to ultra-wide, where we were in like 40s a lot of the times and low 50s in there instead of like 58 or something for a split second. Man, the cooler on that thing's awesome. It's amazing how it can just cool 430 watts and stay at under 70 degrees. Yeah, this is a pretty fun game. I can definitely see why people like it. I know I don't play it properly. When you see me fighting the freaking monsters, you're probably gonna laugh and be like, what the hell is this guy doing? But I at least win. Since I'm antisocial and don't know what I'm doing, I don't want to embarrass myself or screw everybody else in the fight over. Because I don't know if this is one of those games where the monster gets tougher the more people are trying to fight it or what, but I don't want to be the one like slashing into nothingness and then have them all go, what the hell is Vicious doing? Is he retarded? You know, that's no fun. That just makes my social anxiety worse. But anyway, let's move on along. So now we'll try it with FSR quality. See if we can stay above 60 in town. Now, I think we can now, but it still might drop down like 58, 56, or something like that again. But hey, we'll know in a second. We just have to, there we go, get through these settings. So now, it's time to get back into that game. All right, here we go. That 45 was like the FPS, or the recording starting, so that doesn't really count. But I think I still saw like a 59 or something like that for a second there. But still, not the end of the world. I don't think I would notice that without a frame rate counter. I start noticing FPS drops when we start getting into the lower 50s. Mid to low 50s. Because that's what happened to me in Indiana Jones. I was playing with ray tracing on and everything on my TV PC. Everything was going quite swimmingly. But then I got to Siam, and then I was like, oh, shit. With all this water and like foliage, this is like not giving me very good FPS. This feels like it's chugging. What are we getting? Turned on my FPS counter. Oh, well, yeah, we're getting like 48 FPS. No wonder. So then I just decided, you know what? After trying a bunch of different things, I couldn't really get good FPS without relying on performance, DLSS, and then it still was like barely above 60. So I was like, nope, you know what? Let's just turn ray tracing off. The game still looks gorgeous without it. And then I did, and I went right back up to my 80 FPS. Because I just went back to DLSS quality and was like, oh yeah, there we go. Like 80 to 90 FPS almost the whole time. And that's perfect for me. That's about the FPS I like. The FPS we're getting right about now is about the FPS I like for a single player game like this. The more the merrier, of course, but this is pretty much a good medium for me. I could turn the frame rate counter off and just enjoy the game at this point. And that's why a lot of people say 1440p is just the way to go. And then you don't even need a GPU like a 4090. Or a GPU like this, really. Although I guess for a game like this, you kind of almost do. Anyway, though, moving on time. Now, we're going to try ourselves out some frame gen. Just like we did before with the ray tracing. And then after this, we'll turn ray tracing off and see how it does just maxed out without it. Didn't really make a humongous difference before in a lot of places, but we're still going to test it out. All right, here we go. We're in the game. And yeah, definitely still has its frame drops in town, but not the end of the world. Unless you have like, I don't know, probably like a 7800X3D and like a 5090, you're probably going to get big frame drops in towns in this game. That's just the way the game is. And I mean, any game that basically tells you, hey, you should probably turn frame gen on right off the rip is probably not going to give you the best optimized experience. Let's just be honest with ourselves. Like, Capcom knows this engine is not really the greatest for wide open world games. Me, I would go and make the Monster engine or something like that and just make one from the ground up that's perfect for this kind of thing. I would not go to Unreal Engine, because then it's going to be even stutterier and worse than this. Like, I don't think I could even get these kinds of frame times if I tried with Unreal Engine 5. There's like only like 5-6 games I can think of off the top of my head where Unreal Engine 5 ran like decently. Even Fortnite stutters like no tomorrow with all that technology stuff turned on. If you put Lumen ray tracing and all that on, it runs like garbage. And that's a first-person shooter. I don't know too many people that are turning all that stuff on. Most people are like, nope, performance, or everything on low besides view distance, and all right, good. And playing 1080p and all that, get the most FPS they can get. But I'm not a big Fortnite person, so maybe I'm wrong on all that, but that's what I would assume they would want. Hell, I don't even know how to build in that game. Never once built a solitary thing in that game, not a single plank, because I don't know how. I think they got a mode where they just take building out for people like me, though, so that's kind of neat. Anyway, though, now I'd say it's time to move on. Well, now let's turn ray tracing off now and just leave the game maxed out. And we'll do it native first, just native 1440. And then we'll turn FSR on, and then we'll do frame gen again. And then go on from there. Basically just doing a carbon copy of what we already did. Just, you know, instead of ultra-wide 1440, we're just doing regular old 1440. Because that's a much more popular resolution after all. Alright, here we are, in-game. So just barely stayed above 60, but we are recording, which does take a couple FPS. So it probably would have only dropped to like 64 or something had we not been recording. Just throwing that out there. But that's still crazy that we're that close to the limit, even with no ray tracing or anything. So see what I mean? Ray tracing, I think we dropped down to like 58 or something like that, or 56. So we definitely gained some FPS, but it's not as big of a jump as some games. I think this game just has like ray traced reflections. I could be wrong on that, but I think that's about all it does. And that's why they made everything so shiny. Which, if you kind of sit back and think about it, it's kind of funny. It's like they got a guy that comes out and be like, all right, here you go. Here's like $100. Go polish the shit out of the world. I want that. I want to be able to see myself in that mud. Now, I'm not gonna lie. In real life, I've seen some mud where I can actually kind of like almost like see my reflection, but it's not like I look like a freaking mirror and be like, ah, damn, I have a zit on my nose? Oh, how did that get there? Nothing that crazy. Man, monsters are so cool in this game. I'm excited to actually play and actually learn what to do. But when I'm not sitting here like, you know, worried about time and all this other stuff, I'll get to do a lot better and learn how to play a lot more. And hopefully be able to lock on to shit. All right, here we go. Now we're gonna turn on some FreeSync. Or not FreeSync, some FSR 3. Man, it's already getting late again, but I really want to get this done and get the videos edited and stuff because it's already taken me multiple days and I want to get you guys these videos out. And a little tiny bit of a issue with speech is not an issue for me, as long as the actual video is good. All right, here we are, back in the game. And it does drop down to 40 while I freaking turn the recording on, but even in Shadowplay that happens, so I don't include that as a big drop. But there we go. We definitely get like, I think 60 plus in town now. Sucks we have to rely on FSR even with 1440p to stay above it, but you gotta do what you gotta do in games, you know? And that's why I think this game still needs way more optimization. Although I think I have another idea of probably why my speech is all fucked up. I'm sitting here smoking some really good shit. I got myself some Papa Burger and some Fruity Pebbles, and both of them are delicious. And the THC levels are pretty damn high for just weed with nothing fancy done to them. It's like 28% and 29%. There was one that was higher, but I don't go for just THC. I go for taste. 'Cause, I mean, any kind of weed that's like 20% or over is going to get me pretty damn roasted all the same, but if I don't like the taste of it, who cares? That's what happened to me last time. I got this, like, rosin-infused stuff, and I guess I just don't like the taste of it. It's like, to me, it only is like a step up from freaking smoking resin. And I only know what that's like for cleaning my pipes and stuff. When I don't have access to actually cleaning out properly, you know, you can just burn it out real quick, and God, that tastes gross. But this stuff tastes amazing. Speaking of which, alright, it's time to move on. Alright, here we go. Now we're going to turn frame gen on. And alright, it's game time. And here we are in the game. And as I said, when I started the recording, it always chugs a little bit. And then, after that, we seem to be pretty damn good with the frame times and all that stuff. Alrighty, and I think that's about a wrap. Let's go and move on to the next one. So now here we go. Now we're gonna just do high. And that just comes with balanced FSR. Just on, so we'll just leave it the way it is instead of doing the native and all that stuff. In the game we are. And now it gets really good FPS. I feel like a lot of people would be fine just playing like this. Obviously it looks a little soft because of the balanced FSR, but you could probably get away with just bumping that back to quality. Might even be able to do it native, but I feel like with native you still might get to some situations where we drop under 60. Like we did in the beginning of the game, so that's why I would just say, nah, I think you need FSR no matter what in this game. Unless we were playing this at 1080p, but then it would probably stutter like no tomorrow. Seems like you try to do a high graphically intensive game like this at 1080p, and it just never goes well for me anyway. Especially on my laptops. They seem to hate it. Which is the funny thing, I got both of them, high resolution, low end screens so they get high FPS, and then neither one of them really likes that very much. I'd have been better off getting the higher res screen version on both of them. And then just toning settings way down. Or using FSR or something like that, or DLSS, depending if I had, you know, an AMD or NVIDIA GPU. Because at first I was going to get an NVIDIA GPU laptop, but then I saw that advantage, and I was like, dude, that's such a great price for everything you get. I mean, even if it has some wonky issues, I'd say it's worth a shot, and really, I didn't really have too many issues I didn't create for myself with that thing. Alright, time to move on. Now, of course, let's try some frame gen, since we were getting actually the perfect kind of FPS to make use of it. Alright, and with that, let's get back into that game. Now, here we are in the game. We got frame gen on and all that good stuff. Still high preset. Yeah, doesn't feel too input laggy. Definitely feel a little bit. There's no denying that. There's some people say they can't feel it at all, but I don't know. I guess I'm just more susceptible to that stuff. I definitely notice it a little bit. Oops, ran into a tent. I guess I wasn't being attentive enough. Alright, I'll throw myself off this cliff. Oh yeah, seems to be pretty damn great. That frame time thing is pretty much butter smooth like 99.9% of the time. Every once in a blue moon, you might get a hiccup here and there. But for the most part, it looks like this. So I could see a lot of people liking to use that too. Me, I'm not a big fan of frame gen. I probably wouldn't use it. I was fine with just the FPS we were getting beforehand, but I could see some other people that would like a little bit more icing on the cake. And that's exactly what it's for. It shouldn't be used as a crutch. It should be used as a bonus. Alright, time to move on. Alright, now I wanted to show you guys what I would run. And this is just my opinion. It's not like, oh my god, you have to do this, and if you don't, I will punch you. A psychic punch will hit you. Like, no. This is just what I'd run. And like I said, we'll try native and see if we can't stay over 62. Alright, here we are, back in the game. Alright, it looks like we can barely stay at 60. I saw 67 and 69, so there could be other more bigger towns than this you might drop. But at least for where I was, I think we stayed above 60 the whole time. But let's see. And yeah, frame time graph, pretty damn smooth. That's what I go for. Not just frame rate, I also go for smooth frame times. At least the best I can get. I don't know, as you guys can see, I think I'm pretty good at it. I'm sure some people would like more FPS than that. But at least it's not stuttering like crazy. Here and there might be a hiccup, but for the most part, it's like this. I'm totally cool with that. In fact, I don't know, maybe I started on the Alien War, but I think this is where I started attacking that giant chicken T-Rex thing. Not right now, but once I changed over to camera. Oh, Misty, you gonna come down here and keep me company? Nope, I got a tail to the face and she's going to the treats. Oops, sorry, random creature. I did not mean to hit you with my sword. That was not my intention. Well, anyway, what's that, Misty? Yeah, I think so too. It's time to move on to camera.
Alright, let's get some camera recorded gameplay here. And then I think I'm going to go ahead and also do 1440p for those who like just regular 1440p and not ultra wide. Because I like ultra wide, it's awesome, but it's not super popular. I feel like a lot more people have this card with just, you know, regular 1440. And I feel like it'll run quite a bit better too. We'll see, maybe it won't though. I thought that on the Alienware and then, oh, I forgot to go over. It's getting late. Background was indeed quite a view.
why not just get it out of the way now? Hey, don't you slap that cat thing with your tail. Take that. I thought that frickin' frog thing was gonna try to help me for a second there. I did not know you could do that. That's awesome. You can use the environment. Badass. I'm learning. Hey, you get your ass back here.
Messed that one up. Oh, it's getting tipped. If I remember correctly, his tail drops somewhere over here. Don't know if it'll still be there. I swear it was somewhere around here. Oh, those are creatures. Well, whatever. Well, I think it's about time for us to go wrap this video on up. Well, alright guys, that's a wrap for Monster Hunter Wilds on the secondary computer. And with the right settings, you seem to be able to get it to run just fine. However, it should not take that much effort on a system like this. I would still say something like this should be able to, especially when you're not even doing 4K, be able to turn off ray tracing, just max everything out, and get 80 to 100 FPS. No frame gen, no upscaling, no nothing. But it is what it is. At least we figured out a way to get some decent FPS and frame times. But in any case though, that is all I got for you guys for this particular video. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, because I sure as hell enjoyed making it for you guys. And until the next video, peace out, guys.